Hey guys, that's quite a list. Hey Scott, hey Tinker, Dan, Chirpy, Tommy, Mark Osborne, Tinker, Cameron, evening. What's happening? I've had one of those weekends. It's been productive for the first half, and the second half just been sort of 2 steps backwards. A little bit of a headache, actually. Yeah, lots on the table. I'm probably still asleep too, Chirpy, but we're getting there. We probably should wake up. My camera mounts need some work, actually. That might be a job for next week too, if I get time. We've got some problems, we've got some progress, we've got some cool stuff. It's been a fairly busy weekend. Oh dear. Custom Lego figure from Adventures with a Very Small Lathe. Come in the mail today. Check out Alistair's channel. Does some cool stuff. Won the tool making competition last year. Had a competition and won a minifigure, so that's pretty cool. We've got his logo on it. You sent some stickers too. We've got new stickers on the board. You might have to take my word for that. We've also got a When Hell Freezes Over sticker on the board. And a Jimmy Stewart art sticker, I think. There he is now. Go and check out his channel. Adventures with a Very Small Lathe. That's Alistair Riddoch. Some very cool things he makes. And I think the camera gantry's all back on the rails again. Excellent, Cam. Glad they turned up. Hey John. Hey Alistair. So that was one of the parcels in the mail this week. Well, last week it was, just in time, and probably if I'd gone and checked the mail on Wednesday we would have had this last week. But he sent some stickers too, which is pretty awesome. Go and check out his channel. What else has happened? We've got lathe problems. Is that where we start? Probably. This is, I don't know if that's, we're really winning there with the whole camera thing. This is the headstock off the Lorch. Hey John. It's one piece casting. Even the bearings are cast in. They're all machined in place. This was a bit of a mess when I got it, so it's got a bit of DevCon in here to fill up the holes where someone's hit it with an angle grinder to get the spindle out at some point, which was a bit rough. But we fixed that when we put it back together. It's got a tapered bearing there in this end, and an iron cone in this end with a steel bearing in it. On this face here, there's a thrust bearing which goes in there, and that provides the preload, and without it I've discovered it's pretty useless. If you push on this end you end up with this bearing jams up, and if you push on it sideways this one rubs and squeals, all sorts of things. So we need to replace this because some of these balls don't turn and there's no adjustment. With that one in there, what's happening is that if we lock this up, there's our spindle there, which has got a steel bearing there which runs on the cast iron in the front. So it's a nice system. This is adjustment for the preload bearing. This goes in here like this and runs on that. Now, take the key out before we lose it. There's a bronze bearing goes in the back. This is not original. This is something that I made for this machine. It's a fairly nice job. It's never had any problems. It shows no sign of uneven wear. I've been pretty pleased with this actually. It's got a keyway in it which runs in the top of the shaft. There's a keyway all the way along. And that goes in there and tightens up. And it's got two little lock nuts. There's another one. They screw up on there for the adjustment, and they have a special Lorch, or two special Lorch C-spanners which I actually have to hold all this together. When I bought it, this was the bearing that was in place. There's no key in it. It's actually some sort of a plumbing fitting with a piece of pipe on the end machined down, and this part of it here looks like it's probably been hit with a grinder, and it's pretty ugly. There's no way in the world you'd put that back in. So when I put this lathe back together about, what, 10 years ago, I actually replaced this. So we've got a flash new bearing in there, and that's a beautiful spindle. Really, really nice. When that's adjusted, it's magic. It's steel on cast iron and bronze on cast iron. There's no wear in it. It's really an awesome system. It's really nice. However, without this in here, and this one, which has a groove in here for the race to hold it in place, and this one has two pins. Hey Thomas! Lock that up, and then this has got a split in here with a lock nut, and this is replaced too. A friend made me one of these years ago too, because the old one was just a mess. I think it's here somewhere, but I don't know where. So this is a brand new piece, and this is the original piece. So that goes in there. If we put them together, just like that, sort of. This sits in here under flush here and keeps the dust and the dirt out, and that's how that works. That gives us some preload so that the pressure on here doesn't seize up the bearing. Basically, that's the short story. And the pulley goes on here, which I also have the genuine pulley. We don't have the matched half, but at some point we're going to fix that. The one I've got at the moment was the one that came with it with some modifications. And it is matched, but it's not really ideally what I'd like. But anyway, that's a project for the future. Anyway, went to look for this bearing, and couldn't find one. Really finding something to match this, to go in here, fit in the hole, and be exactly right is fairly difficult. Now this goes on here, and there's enough room in here, I believe, on the thread. Max RPM, I run this mostly at about 1200, which is flat out for my lathe. That's sort of the speed that I turn with carbide. Had a Lorch watchmaker's lathe, which is a smaller version of this. It's actually half as long and half as high and half as deep. It's exactly the same otherwise. And I used to run that fairly regularly, 1800. So the system's got no limitations if it's adjusted right and you're doing work within its capabilities. So just looking at that, what I've done is found a thrust bearing. This is nice, but there's no way that this space here is going to go in here with enough thread left to lock it up. Just not going to happen. So there's been a few solutions. Someone suggested, and someone who probably is capable of doing the work too, suggested to make a new cage out of something and put new ball bearings in it, and that's probably be a nice job too. But I'd like something I can fit off-the-shelf components to if I've got to. That's that's where I'm at with it. This one has the right PCD on the ball, so it fits this piece beautifully, and it should fit the existing groove in the cast iron, which is worn in over time. However, it'd be wonderful if it was that easy, but it's not, because that won't go in that hole. So I think what we're going to do is set this up and machine this diameter out a little bit bigger so that this does fit, and this will then work on that race in there, but instead of sitting in there like that, it's going to be out here like this. So probably we need to make a piece to shrink on here just to do as a cover plate to stop the dirt and dust going in, but that's probably all doable. So that's where we're at with that, and until at least next weekend. Welcome back, John. At least until next weekend I'm without a lathe. Inner and outer diameters. This one's 45 millimeters. I think this is about 24, something like that, which is a good fit on the spindle. So there's probably another way to fix it, and probably a less invasive way to fix it. However, it would be nice to put off-the-shelf components in it next time if it ever needs it. So we're going to mod it to fit this and see what we end up with. That's the outcome of today and yesterday's messing around in the heat, pulling this thing apart. Don't know if that makes any sense, but I think that's what's going to happen. Anyone's got a better idea that I haven't already thought of, let us know. Write it out in the comments and we'll have a bit of a go at it and think about it. It's not within the limits of impossibility to make a new cage for these balls, but with the equipment I've got without a lathe, it's sort of a bridge too far, I think. So that's where the launch is at. Of course, the bed's all been pulled down and cleaned, and I've gone over it with precision ground flat stones and given it a clean up and a bit of polish, and it's looking a lot tidier as a result of all this, but the machine's completely in bits at the moment. These are all really good suggestions. Inner and outer diameters of this, about 26 and 46, something like that. So it's about the same inner diameter, and it's just a fraction bigger outer diameter, because the only difference is it's got bigger ball bearings. If we find one with 732 balls to go in that ball race, it'd be wonderful. But at this point I haven't. I don't understand your comment there, John. Send us a message about that one. Wonder if that old one can't be freed up and cleaned. I've done that 4 times. This time it's just sharp and chunky, and I've already tried that. I gave it a scrub up, and probably I could drill the spot welds out and take it apart and deburr it all and put new balls in it and put it back together. That's, to me, seems like a good course of action. However, you're not really winning, because this is worn so thin, I reckon, that there's not much meat left in there, and it's going to come apart. We will talk to you about this race, John. So that's where we are with that. The other thing that I've done recently, which wasn't any good, and this is a learning experience really, and it was my own stupid fault. I abused this. If we have a look, where's our focus? This is the button that goes in here to stop the collets turning. There's a keyway in the collets and in the chuck mandrel and everything else. If we have a look, these have a keyway down the middle. And hey Thor, check out Thor's channel. Give him a subscribe, leave him a comment. He's still pretty new. I subscribed today. I don't think Curly, hey Curly, I don't think that making new bearing houses and fitting tapered bearings is going to make it a better machine. I really don't. What we've got's pretty good. It's antique, but it's really, it's awesome. So I'm not sure that's going to fix it. This pin goes in here, and this is just Silver Steel 01 that I made, but I abused this and managed to shear it off. So I'm going to have to harden and temper something up properly and make it a little bit bigger on the pin, so that I can't focus on that anyway. Poor camera. there, so that it doesn't happen again. So that's a heat treating job for very, very soon while we've got it apart probably. Air bearings would be awesome, but I don't think it'll hang. In my sort of standard of work, it probably wouldn't handle the loads that I tend to give this machine. So that's how it all works. That's a pretty good overview of how the Lorch lathe headstock or any plain turning lathe headstock fits together. Most German machines of a certain age are very, very similar that I've ever seen. So that's how it all works. And that's not how you put it together. Probably by next week we'll have it all back together, but we'll see how we go with that. Thickness, this one here is 732, the other one's 8mm. Better to shear the pin than drill the collet, that's right, but it wants to be a little bit more solid than it is, because it tripped pretty easy, but I was running a loose collet and it spun. What other cool stuff? I was actually setting up, when all this happened, to make a keyway bar for the shaper to put this collet on, or to put this gear on the shaper. This is for our little dividing head. We made some progress on that this weekend. There's a new spindle. This is 4140. It's a bit flash actually. I'm really pleased with this. It's got a keyway in there. And same deal, it's got the same hole in the end. Not finished yet, so the collet won't fit. But same hole in the end as the spindle for a collet. So we've been working on that. Hey JB. What else? Got a parcel in the mail. This is one of the issues with living in Australia, and anyone who lives in Australia who makes things will understand. This come from Mini Bearings in Brisbane. Won't give them a shout out because they kind of are not a particularly good company to deal with sometimes. If we have a look, this is a spring-loaded ball bearing plunger with a screw thread in this end, or a screw slot in this end to adjust it. It's 4mm. It's only tiny. But got one of these and it cost me way more than I was expecting to pay, and way more than it's worth. However, no one else in Australia's got one, and it's Chinese New Year, so it's going to take a while, and McMaster-Carr don't sell to Australia. So we're stuck with that. So I only got one. Hopefully I don't lose it. But this is for the thread cutting attachment. And the next stage, which is this dog clutch with a pin in it. This has to have 2 grooves in here. And it clicks to that position so it'll spin, and that position so that it locks. That's the idea. And it doesn't click by very much, but just stops the centrifugal force, or you bumping it and pushing it off, or disengaging during the cut. So that's the next job for that. Now I've got to drill that through there and tap it 4mm, and that'll screw straight in there. And we can put 2 grooves in there in the right spot and harden and temper this pin, which is O1 tool steel. So that's next with that. We've also got to drill this and put some screws in here and Loctite the universal in. Someone had an excellent point that these are actually 90 degrees out, and you're going to end up with some harmonics, some out of balance problems. So I'm probably going to move this around so that it doesn't quite line up, I think, is the answer to do that. So duly noted, whoever left that comment, excellent point, and we'll fix that. That goes in there like that with a bit of Loctite and a couple of screws. And it's starting to look like it's going to work. So that's what I've done this weekend. I've also done some painting and filling on the 400 core box, the last core box for that set of foundry patterns for the Stuart 400. Hopefully I'll get them sent away within the next week or so, and there'll be another video. Thanks, John. Appreciate that. I'll check out your message in a little while. Get back to you tomorrow. Don't know what else. No one else has really asked me any questions, anything like that. There was a letter come from Nigel at glueit.com, who's an Instagrammer and has a website. Nice guy. I forgot, but some time ago he had a little engine that he wanted someone to check out the drawings and test run them. And I gave him my address to send them, and they've just turned up. So it's a little solenoid engine. There'll be more of that soon. It'll just be a 1 video build, I think. There's not much to it. This could be deceiving, but I think I'd build it pretty easily in a weekend, I hope. There's a couple of boilers for Chirpy that we're working on. They're in the pickle bath at the moment again, but we've put some tubes in them. I'll send some photos, Chirpy, at some point. That's something I did one night last week, and they shouldn't be too far away, I don't think. Hey Lisa. Yeah, life's pretty crazy. The new artwork is out for the Summer Bash 2019. If you can possibly make it to that, make the effort. It's an awesome event. It's all about our community, and it's really worth spending the time doing. Making the trip cross country or across the world or whatever, because the amazing people you'll meet and the amazing things that you'll bring home materially and intellectually is well worth the effort and the trouble. Hi David. Oh, awesome Chirpy. Hey Metalworks Machine Shop. That's worthwhile. I've ordered a piece of signboard today. It's about 3'6" circle, and if you've seen that artwork, Stan will have a video out, I reckon, pretty soon about it. But if you've seen that artwork with the girl with the red dress and the tail and in the snowstorm, in blue and red, I'm going to hand paint that on a circular board, I hope. And hey Duncan, good to see you. and that'll probably be a raffle ticket prize at or a raffle prize or something like that at the Summer Bash. The other thing, if I go to the Summer Bash, is it's early days, but I've hit up these guys about competition prizes. Hey David, hi. And I don't know whether that's a good idea or not. There'll be more about that soon. It's a fairly nice prize or present or consolation or whatever else, but whether I'm going to actually run the competition or not this year, I'm not sure. Give me some feedback on that. It's a lot of work and life's pretty short. Anyway, that's our half hour up, really, and we've covered a lot of stuff, and most of it was a how not to buy a lathe tutorial, but hopefully that situation is going to improve quite a lot pretty soon. Thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe. Thanks to all our new subscribers, if any of them watch this. Really appreciate you jumping on board. Thanks to the couple of new patrons and those who've upped their Patreon pledge. That's awesome. I'm going to say big thanks again to all of you. If you do jump on Patreon, usually you get, well, you always get a note from me. But yeah, Chirpy, we'll talk about that. Big thanks to everyone who bought a t-shirt. I've actually put t-shirt money back into, it was to pay for postage and for stickers, and it's sort of done that, and I've put it back in, so it would have gone in the workshop anyway, if that makes any sense. So righto, we'll see you, and more soon.